Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to be part of our Human Books session. So, Varun, for all the people here who do not know who Varun is, he's a sound meditation practitioner, writer, and musician. He believes in the often ignored art of listening, not just hearing, but truly listening. So, from his childhood, this practice has shaped his life, taken him to where he is today, made him an excellent communicator, and given him profound, beautiful, and spiritual experiences while helping him build lasting and healthy connections. This journey has led Varun to dedicate himself to people, relax, and tune into their own breath and bodies through the use of sound, frequency, and vibration. So, let us hear from Varun, his journey. Thank you so much for joining us, Varun.
Thank you, Ranjita, and thank you, MHAI, for giving me this opportunity. I have never shared in a circle like this my journey, but I'm very excited to because it is a topic that means a lot to me, and I get quite excited talking about this. But ironically, it's not the talking; it's the listening that I'm going to be sharing about. So, if you will just indulge me before I start sharing, if everyone's comfortable, I would like to also just close your eyes if that feels okay. Yeah. The reason I'm asking you to close your eyes is to bring your awareness to the senses, especially what you can hear. Notice how it feels to have your eyes shut in a manner like this. Our senses are our doorway to our reality, to our perceptions. Notice how the silence feels. And thank you so much. You can gently open your eyes. So, the reason I asked or requested all of you to join me in that was to experience a few brief moments of stillness in silence. It has come to my experiential understanding that silence is the root of all sound, it's the root of all experience, stillness and silence. Whenever I think about listening, I think about silence and stillness first. So, a little bit about me. Um, I currently reside in Bangalore, but my upbringing, rather my childhood, took me to a bunch of cities across India thanks to my father's job. I remember my childhood being playful, mischievous, but always with a sense of values, of politeness and humility that my parents were quite stern about us being that way. But they still gave us the freedom to to dance, to laugh, to listen to music that they introduced us to. And I remember some extremely happy moments on long family drives, listening to the music of say Kishore Kumar or the Beatles or ABBA, and the best experiences of singing along as a family. So that was my first kind of introduction to music at a young age, singing along to bands like this. Um, School was good. My school life was uneventful mostly. I was the mischievous kid, but also the silent kid. Um, I would be the one who was okay being silent and okay and hearing what other people had to say. I think I realized at a young age that people felt comfortable talking to me, and I made them feel without any uh, extra effort. I made them feel held or comforted or like just present. That that was not quite the case with the rest of my family, though. I have a younger sister with whom I share a special bond, but growing up, we fought a lot. We would constantly bicker, and I had this, probably now I can admit it, but a bit of insecurity about her being the younger child and receiving most of my parents' love in my mind, that made me align or lean towards wanting to please my parents. you know. So whatever they would tell me to do, to a large extent, I would obey. Not listen, obey, without fully understanding what it is or why they were telling me to do something. An example I can give you is at a young age joining chanting sessions. As a young Brahmin kid, we were introduced or expected to um, get on stage and chant the Gayatri mantra in our dhotis and things like that. And for me, it was a play. It was just kind of a way to appease my parents in that moment, not realizing the power or the energy of what I was chanting at that age. Fast forward to a crucial juncture in my life in high school, where I unfortunately met with a serious car accident during a challenging time in my life in ninth standard, and it was my first experience with like this jarring trauma of experiencing something like that, having to endure pain that I'd never felt before, feeling close to death, feeling close to absolute helplessness. And yes, it did kind of alter my perspective on life, but it also at that age gave me a sense of rebelliousness or a sense of resentment towards a god or a higher power. I felt that why had this happened to me? Why had I gotten so injured so badly at this stage of my school life? And not realizing that perhaps I had survived. I was probably close to getting paralyzed or not making it through, but I survived. It was a difficult phase for me to get through, but like with the ever supporting family and friends around me rallying me, I got through that phase. I wrote my board exams, got into college, and that's when again the rebelliousness came to the fore. You know, again, quiet kid but mischievous. Always the one okay to go along with the group, bunk classes, or listen to loud music somewhere, or in Bangalore it was a great time to be in pre-university college at that time. So a lot of fun moments, but I also remember not feeling, not really fitting in. I was just kind of playing a role of a student, and again feeling that angst inside, feeling that I'm not connecting with who I am, right? But I surprised myself. Out of college, I landed a job at one of the best companies in the world as reviewing ads for them, and it filled me with confidence. It filled me with wow, look what you are capable of. I went there with my ego on top of my head, got into this job, gave it my all. I was really good at what I did, and felt felt suddenly that okay, I had arrived in this place. But as time passed, there was this again growing unsettlingness about the idea of sitting at a desk at a computer for a long stretch, living the Monday to Friday life, and feeling like I wasn't using my potential, right? I wasn't really doing what I was meant to do. I was still very intensely connected to music and sport and movement, and those were things that just continued being hobbies in my life, you know. But it seemed like I was still kind of grasping for what I wanted to do with my life, what is purpose. Yeah. So from that place of not quite fitting in, I didn't last too long at that job. Came back to Bangalore with this new word in my head, entrepreneur, right? And it was all about, okay, let's become an entrepreneur. Let's have our own business and be the boss of our own time and boss of our own destiny, perhaps. Again, ego driven delusions. It took me into some difficult learning experiences again, where I had to come to terms that this was not what I was cut out for. Repeatedly, life has taught me through hard lessons that are you listening? Are you listening? Yeah. It was much later when I made the choice to join the hotel industry to start my career as a chef that I actually first experienced what it meant to deeply listen. When you're cooking, it is a completely sensory experience. You have to listen to what you are doing, literally. Be it as simple as making chai or something really complicated uh, like a really complicated dish. Step by step, you have to have your full awareness on what you were doing. And I love that experience. I love the idea of being able to take an ingredient in its raw form, put your skill, put your expertise, put your creativity to it, and convert it into something else entirely. And the bonus was I got to feed others. I got to feed myself. It filled me with a lot of joy. Yeah, but I wasn't listening to my body. I was working long hours. I was not resting. I was pushing my limits literally in the hotel industry. It brought me to a point where I was, this is a bit difficult for me to say, but it was like a rock bottom kind of situation for me where I had come to an absolute place of, uh, how do I put this? I had felt that I had nothing left. I had failed in a business. I had gone through multiple career changes. I had felt I was feeling exhausted in my body, in my mind. What was I going to do now? It was at that point in a very dark phase of my life that I came across this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, written very simply and very concisely about what his philosophy is. I won't go into it, but the gist is that the only thing that we ever have that is ever real in our life is this moment, and everything else is an illusion. Illusion in the sense created illusion of either the past or an expected future. And and I could see that a lot of my suffering, a lot of my angst, insecurity came from either living in the past or of regret of what I'd done or an anticipated expectation of an outcome to happen in the future. It was only in those brief moments of actually loving what I was doing, either while cooking or playing music or singing, when I was fully immersed in what I was doing, was where I was feeling at ease, or rather aligned. So that book hit me like a thunderbolt. I read it front to back. I read it twice just to confirm, okay, what was this? And I was in a space where I had pretty much nothing else to do. I had books, I had meditation, I had a routine, and I had gratitude. For the first time in my life, I felt that, wow, Varun, despite everything, or rather, with everything, you have so much to be grateful for. To be where you are, sitting with this book in your hand, that was a real like turning point for me at that stage. This was in 2019. Yeah, just to give you context. In 2019, I made some changes with the way I was living. I made some changes with the people I was spending time with. I couldn't change my perspective back. I had this kind of clarity about how I wanted to see the world, or rather, what I felt about the nature of my reality. It led me to doing a 10-day Vipassana course that again taught me some deep lessons. Firstly, it taught me I am not flexible. Sitting cross-legged on the floor was uh, truly excruciating experience for me. But beneath that excruciating pain, there was deep realization about the nature of things. So I could sense that this this word listening or the experience listening was meaning different things to me in different contexts. Whether it was with food, whether it was closing my eyes and breathing, whether it was with music, whether it was with people, I could sense that I was becoming a better communicator, not because I could speak better, but that I could listen better. That is how I got towards yoga and sound healing. Thanks to some wonderful people in my life who uh, uh, introduced me to these practices. It Yoga, I will speak about yoga first because it's what impacted me in the body and got me in touch with my breath. And again, breath is about listening. You can't be somewhere else if you're trying to focus on your breath. This doesn't work. Every time you try that, you know, if you're doing yoga, if you're in an asana, if you're in a flow, you need to be connected with what you're doing in the mind and the body in that moment. Everything else is surplus. There was clarity emerging. There was a sense of feeling more like myself, whatever that meant, becoming more into myself. The first time I heard the sound of singing bowls being played, lying down and hearing this, with a new sense, a new of listening, it it brought me to tears. It took me some while to process that, what I had felt, and my analytical mind went straight to exploring or researching why I had felt this way. What was it about the sounds of these instruments that had made me feel such deep, calm stillness that I had never felt before? Yeah, and beneath that stillness, it wasn't just rainbows and sunshine. There were emotions that were coming up of feeling unsettled, of, of just not, you know, I can't explain it. Sound healing is not about fixing anything. As the word may suggest, it has healing in the term, but the way I see it, it's connecting back to a place of stillness, of calmness that's been within us all along. We've had glimpses of it um, through our lives as children. You look at a beautiful sunset, you have a beautiful moment of connection with someone else. You connect to a flow state, whatever that means to you. For me, this was the circle getting completed in a way. And that's where I am at today. That's where I am today. I still feel like isn't over. This is just a realization that's happened to me in this place, in this time, and it is leading me to something else. What it is, I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. What I can say about what I do right now with sound healing is that I bring a deep presence to it. I bring empathy. I bring compassion and kindness, which are values that have like they just stood by me all my life, and there was no reason for me to never not be those things. Whether it was working in hotels or in offices or dealing with my family or difficult people, it always taught me that empathy, kindness, and compassion were the root values that I should never let go of. And it is with that intention or with that energy that I practice my sound healing. This is my first year doing it, but I feel that it has led me to again beautiful people such as Ranjita and others who see, and I am able to I'm also able to see where they come from. When we had the session at MHAI, a day spent in reflection, in nature, it all felt like this is worth doing. Yeah, and again, I am not setting expectations for the future or like saying wondering where I'll be in 5 to 10 years. Okay, planning is fine, but this here and now moment is all that matters to me. Today's this share didn't quite pan out the way I planned it. I was just here and my neighbor unexpectedly barged into my house saying I'm injured and you need to take me to a hospital. Uh, so I could not say go away. I told her, okay, you be here. I'm taking you to the hospital after this. But what the point I'm coming at is I continue to try and live my days or the moments through this very kind of laid back sense of assuredness that listening is all I need to do, be it to myself or to all of you or to the wonderful next person who is sharing, who I'm excited to hear his share as well. All I need to do is listen, and life has so much to offer for me. Life will also listen to me. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that is all I would like to share for today. Thank you so much all for listening and giving me this presence and space. May I add one last thing?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Another aspect of listening I understood was about the art of non-violent communication. And for me, that is the greatest source of conflict that's been in my life and pain that I see around me. There's another very powerful book that came my way at the right time, and I understood that okay, just being sensitive and a good listener wasn't wasn't solving conflict for me, or rather, I was still avoiding conflict or getting upset when people said things to me. So this book, or rather, the approach behind the book, is about when people communicate, when people say something to you, don't just take the words at face value. Yes, they are saying the words. Also, take a moment to perceive where they are coming from. What underlying need are they trying to express? This I learned firsthand in a very recent hectic relationship where she would tell me constantly, "You are always late," or "You don't make me feel a certain way," or or these kind of judgment statements. And my first reaction would be a reaction. You know, Later on, I was able to see that came from underlying need of feeling protected, of feeling safe, of feeling held, of feeling acknowledged that she had. So it's brought me to a place now where I still try and acknowledge what people are saying to me, not just with the words, but acknowledge where they're coming from. What underlying need are they trying to express? And similarly with myself, I think last point is to never ignore my own underlying needs when I communicate and try to avoid communicating in judgment but rather from a place of observation and identifying that need. So listening again has taught me these, I think, pretty special lessons about wants, needs, judgment versus observation, and being in the moment. Yeah. Thank you all again.
Thank you so much, Varun, for sharing your journey and trusting us, and that you shared this in our platform. It means a lot to us.